being condescending. Just be warned, alright? Just move forward and
Okay, well, check this out. First of all, you throwing too many big words at me. Okay, now, because I don't understand them, I'm going to take them as disrespect. Watch your mouth and help me with the say.
okay, see, now you found yourself a nigga. You looking for a nigga? Nigga here now, see?
My mind is so spectacular. Open up your aperture. You don't like the light that I be shining, bitch. You Dracula. Southern draw vernacular. Flip you like a spatula. Knew that I was built to put this word up on my scapula. I've been on this road so long, my tires bald. I don't wanna text and no, I don't wanna call. Came in this shit running, but you don't know how to crawl. We ain't never folding, I'm holding the highest car. Look, okay, grew up running post routes. Now I'm on the cash route. Better call the plumber, that boy spitting like a bass spout. All these bad women in this club, fuck is you mad about? Word to all my estheticians, boy, I'm about to lash out. Straight from St. John's to the east side. Jigging since knee high. Watch the way I put on for my state, nigga, yeehaw. Respecting no everything. Crazy how I made it to the league from the bleach eyes. Boy, my shit hair wrong. Black, rich, and bare arms. Smoking on that yogi, this shit stronger than some bare arms. Goku, I'm in rare form. You cannot prepare for him. When I swing, it's like a carnival. This shit ain't fair for him. Brought intellect back to this rap shit. You niggas need chapstick. Shit been dry for way too long, and I'm the matchstick. You niggas Nickelodeon me. I'm more like Cap Nick. Cap a nigga, throw him in. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said it, I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. About to blow like we just lit the fuse. We double dutch into this dough, I get this shit in twos. Push the button, get it started, put that shit in cruise. A little dust up on his heart, I barely get to use. A fool flatters himself, a wise man flatters a fool. Man, I just came to get it started like mechanics with tools. Cause in my hood, if you don't pack a tool, you planning to lose. These young boys deserve Oscars, they be acting a fool. A couple loose screws, but they hammer accurate. Ooh, I know some niggas stuck on drugs and manufacture it too. School of hard knocks, we all got our bachelor's. Food, no cap and gowns, but we all had the master. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said it, I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. I'm dumb lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh rack, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, leaving my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopping, we don't even need no brake lights. Say she don't smoke, but she always smoke with me, yeah. Backwards in the air, back up in the ovaries, yeah. All my ops, they stay running like they over easy. Even my masseuses can't just get too close to me, yeah. Shout out to Next. Soon as the ink dry, we count out the checks, yeah. I never flex. I bought up a business, you bought up a section. I'm at the top of my class, yeah. Y'all never learn from your lesson. Skywalker gave me the force, yeah. Turn this into an obsession, yeah. I couldn't wait on the team, cooking shit up with just me rolling flag, yeah. Things never are what they seem, but we know the facts, yeah. Charging that shit to the game, but now I pull up with a battery pack, yeah. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, and we can just leave it at that. I'm dumb lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh rack, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, deep in my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopping, we don't even need no brake lights. Big bro, why they call you big bro? Every time we hit the bank, we deposit zip codes. Well connected with the streets like we out in Skid Row.
Oh my gosh, bro. Dog, this is not something I had planned. I promise y'all, I was not planning to do this. I swear on everything I love, I was not planning to do this live right here. This is unexpected. Y'all heard the one this morning, and I thought that was gonna hold y'all for the day, but when I heard this, I had to jump on for another video, bro. What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. I'm your host, BJ Matthews, aka B. Just before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, all of our YouTube videos. Hit that like button as y'all come in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you get into this house, hit the share, subscribe, hit that Cash App, $ Slick Rick, $ Slick Rick 1991 son. If you guys have not donated to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, you are definitely missing out. Continue to support us as the #1 Clipper podcast. Is one of the great podcasts on the YouTube streams. No disrespect to nobody else here. And if you guys do not have Cash App, that's fine. You guys can also show your love in our super stickers and super comments. Very, very simple. As in, you guys see in the chat box, the bottom right-hand corner, all you guys got to do is click that button with that $ symbol, and you guys can donate to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast at your own discretion. Let's get it popping. All right, y'all. So, obviously, this is something that just came about a couple hours ago. Pretty much, I want to say probably a few hours after I did my live on the Kobe Bryant. By the way, this is Kobe Bryant week. I'm going through all these different types of, narratives, going through them one by one, killing them all off one by one. The narrative killer is back in effect. And I want to definitely, thank the Kobe Bryant haters and also the, the lying ass journalists and analysts who constantly keep pushing the bad narratives, because y'all keep me having good content on y'all. So definitely love and appreciate it. But yeah, hold on, y'all. Let me get my y'all know. Hold on one second, y'all. Woosa. Hey, man. I could have sworn we were just talking about something like this. Did y'all hear me this morning talk about the millennials and how they need to be taught? Somebody in the comment section, correct me if I'm wrong, but did y'all hear me in the comment section earlier? Not just this video, but the video before that and the video before that, talk about these damn millennials that need to be taught and need to be educated. Now, I was just speaking upon the fans and the, people that ain't been playing basketball long enough and ain't studied the game. I didn't know we had to teach the players as well. Some of our great athletes in the NBA. But I guess here we are. Anthony Edwards. For you guys who do not know, Anthony Edwards is a player that I am very, very fond of. To be quite honest with you, I was ahead of the curve more than in front of a lot of people. And I'm not saying to beat my chest, but a lot of people were not high on Anthony Edwards really more than a year ago. They just got high on him this year. I knew this dude was going to be a problem in the league, and I said he's going to be the best player in the league in the next, now we're looking at 2 to 4 years. And then you look at him this year, he gets his team to the conference finals. The furthest they've been since Kevin Garnett's been back with them in 2004. That's 20 years. This is as far as the Wolves have gotten to the conference finals. They beat the defending championships in the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. You hear all the comparisons that he's compared to Michael Jordan. And, this, that, and the other. A lot of people are high on Anthony Edwards right now. However, over the past really couple statements, Anthony Edwards has been kind of, I don't know if he's been drinking a little bit too much of that, that fun juice, or that, I don't know. Maybe he's saying some things just being funny, got some time on his hands, he's bored. I don't know what's going on. He said he felt sorry that he swept Kevin Durant in last year in the playoffs, because obviously KD is his favorite player. And shout out to my man, Straight to the Point podcast, Straight to the Point, did a great video about this. He said, you don't tell your opponents you feel bad beating them. I don't care if they're your favorite player or not. This is a competitive field, and you keep that to yourself. And if you see them again next year, you got to do the same thing with them. if you want to be compared to Jordan and Kobe, they didn't have feelings when it came to their arch nemesis. Kobe wasn't gonna sit back. If he beat you one year, his mentality's gonna beat you again. I watched this dude beat Carmelo Anthony year after year. I've watched this dude beat Tim Duncan and the Spurs all through the 2000s. Just dog walked them 3 out of 4 times. And he will let you know. I seen him in the Olympics beat his good friend and brother and also his favorite teammate, Pau Gasol, and got the gold medal. When they got back to the States, and the first week of, I think, training camp, Kobe Bryant brought his gold medal and put the medal right in Pau Gasol's locker. Basically rubbing it in. And let me tell you something with them international players. When it comes to that, their international championships or their medals are as much as they mean much to them as much as the NBA championship quiet is kept. So he knew that would bother Pau Gasol, and he did it anyway. Right? So this is the same dude that's been compared to Michael Jordan and Kobe. And that's obviously something they would not say. But this is the new one that just dropped, I swear, probably a little over 2 hours ago. The quote says, they say it was tougher back then than it is now. But I don't think anybody had skill back then. Michael Jordan was the only one that really had skill. Okay. And it says right on Anthony Edwards on older NBA generations via Wall Street Journal. So what I did is took it upon myself to look at the actual article to see what was actually said in entirety, because you know sometimes people can take bits and pieces of a conversation. And what I wanted to do, the last thing I wanted to do was do that to Anthony Edwards. I like Anthony Edwards a lot. I like Ant-Man. I think he's a great personality. I think he's a great team. I think he's a great player. He's still young. He's 22 years old? Going on 23. He's in a special part of his career right now. So I wanted to really, do right. So it says right here, Anthony Edwards throws shade at past generations, says Michael Jordan was the only player with skill. Okay. Which is matching this quote right here. So let's look a little deeper. As y'all come here, make sure y'all smash that like button for your boy. It says Minnesota Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards has started making a name for himself in the NBA despite only being 23 years old. Okay, he's 23, not 22. But he recently ruffled some feathers with a hot take on older basketball generations. In a recent interview with the Wall Street Journal, Edwards was asked how his generation compares to the ones before him. And he said the only player who had skill back in the day was Michael Jordan. This was before the quote. So before I read the quote, this was a question that was asked. So this is something that he was being asked on the television screen. It looks like the Wall Street Journal. So this wasn't done, privately or, with his friends or his teammates or, barbershop talk. This was done like on the television where people are going to actually see this, loud and clear. So let's go into what he actually said. He said, Anthony Edwards, I quote, "I didn't watch it back in the day, so I can't speak on it," Edwards said. They said it was tougher back then than it is now, but I don't think anybody had skill back then. Jordan was the only one that really had skill. You know what I mean? So that's why when they saw Kobe Bryant, they were like, oh my God. But now everybody has skill. Okay. So he did deeper go into what he meant, and it sounded like to me it matches exactly what this says. And there was no persuasion or, somebody trying to make him say a certain statement. This is what he said. And he was being comparing himself to this generation. So let me just say a few things before I begin. I hear a lot of people, and again, this is something where people just say how ridiculous Anthony Edwards sounds saying this, that no one had skill other than Jordan in the early generations. I told you, I just spoke upon stuff like this, and I'm glad I did, because I still have it in my head what, you know, can come off is still fresh. I see a lot of people going at and saying Anthony Edwards, how much of a ridiculous statement it is, and how he lost this, he lost brownie points, and, you know, he's not going to be as popular with all these ridiculous statements. I said, I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad at all. Y'all know y'all saw the animated startup, but I'm not angry at Anthony Edwards at all. The dude was born in 2001. The guy he may look like he's an NBA player, he has the body, but this dude is 23 years old. And you saw in his quote, he didn't watch it back in the day, so I can't speak on it. Now, I'm going to say why that's kind of a double standard, because if you say you didn't watch it back in the day, how could you say that there was nobody who had skill other than Jordan? So that just tells me your knowledge ain't that high, my man, but it's cool. This is why I say we have to really inform and educate people who are actually around. I'm a 90s baby. Well, I was born in the 90s, but I watched ball in the 2000s. And you know what? A lot of people that go at Ant are the same people that went at me, you know, who are older than me, my generation, saying you kids don't know nothing about ball. Y'all, you know, you guys don't get it the hard way, da-da-da-da. And we saying the same thing about this generation. Y'all don't know ball. Y'all didn't play on the blacktop. Y'all soft. I mean, we sound the same as the people who came before us. And I know it's hard to kind of be able to calmly tell the younger generation, like, look, man, like, no, this ain't that's not what it was at all. Let me inform you of what really happened, because I was there. That's what we're gonna do with Anthony Edwards. So y'all sit back and like the video. Look, first off, I gotta ask the question: when he said generations, is he talking simply? And I'm just speculating. Is he talking specifically all generations before the 2020s when he started playing, or 2010s when he started really watching? Or is he talking about the specific era like in the 90s when Jordan played? That's my first question, because it doesn't talk about what generation. Is he talking about all generations before Jordan, or talking about all generations before he started watching basketball? I'm going to take the stab that he's talking about generations before the 2000s, because his favorite player played in the 2000s and the 2010s was Kevin Durant. LeBron James is the guy he calls the GOAT. He played in the 2000s and 2010s. Anthony Edwards playing in the 2020s. So I'm gonna assume he's going at guys in Jordan's era, which is fine. Let's go with that. So what I chose to do, because it's a common thing, you know, people just say stuff and they just kind of get it misconstrued and think that, you know, people are just supposed to just sit there and just really just, you know, take it in. Now, I'm going to specifically talk about two decades. That's the 80s and the 90s. A little bit of the 2000s, but more so the 80s and 90s, because I'm trying to make a point. Now, he said that they didn't have nobody skilled other than Jordan. I get what he's trying to say, but he's flat out wrong. there was many guys in both decades who were skilled, and they didn't even have the training and the technology that these players been having over the last 2 decades, in the 2010s and the 2020s. The trainers, the gyms, the access to, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the other. Because skill can be taught to anybody. So if you put a lot of them dudes in the 80s and 90s in today's era, they'll be the same players and more, because they will have more access to vicinities, and they have different access to certain things that these players have now. So you saying that they didn't have skill back then like they have now? Well, that's because because you have access to things they didn't have. So if we look at, let's say, the 80s, I just picked out top 10 players of the 80s. I'm not going to even go deeper than that, because I don't really need to go deeper than that. But as y'all can see right here on the list, I hope that y'all can see it. Let me make sure I got it right here so y'all can see. All right. You got Magic, Larry Bird, Jordan, Moses Malone, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins, James Worthy, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish. Those are the top 10 players that were ranked in the 1980s. Now, what's funny is typically the top players, and like from 1 through 6 or 1 through 7, half of them are played in the 80s and the 90s. You got Jordan, obviously the GOAT. You got Kareem, who's second. You got Magic, the best point guard of all time. Larry Bird, who's one of the top small forwards. I got him number 7 on my list. So obviously these dudes had skill. Magic Johnson, his passing skills was as good as anybody you can think of in NBA history. Larry Bird, his offensive skills, as far as scoring the basketball, rebounding the basketball, passing the basketball, able to use either hand, and his footwork was impeccable. People think Larry Bird was just this slow white dude, man. His footwork was impeccable. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, I'm saying it because when you study the game as much as I do, you watch Larry Bird, how he moves on the court. That dude was not no slow white dude, just hanging around. There's a reason why he's a top 10 player of all time. Skilled. Jordan, obviously, you said was skilled. Right? Moses Malone, not going to say much. He was quote unquote skilled. He was just more so of a guy who just was a rebounding demon. Obviously, but still one of the great centers of all time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I mean, for you to score, be the second leading scorer of all time with simply a signature move called the hook shot. He can shoot free throws. He was always I think he was pretty skilled. Right? I'm just going through the list of players because he said the only person that was not skilled was Jordan. Isaiah Thomas, skilled. Isaiah Thomas was, Ant-Man. You know Kyrie Irving, the guy that you played in the conference finals that beat y'all? The one that you said that you got that, up and under shot from? Kyrie Irving basically was Isaiah Thomas was Kyrie Irving before Kyrie Irving. And he was a better version because he actually led his team to championships. Top 3-point guard on my list. And he wasn't really happy with Anthony Edwards' comments as well. I'm going to let y'all see what he had to say about Ant-Man's comments right here. It says right here on Twitter X, Ant-Man says MJ was the only player that had skill back in the day. Eye emoji, Yahoo Sports. Isaiah Thomas says, response, propaganda works, so be careful what you choose to believe. Facts. Same issues I have. The narrative business is in full effect to this day. And it's $1 billion business. That's what it's about. It's not about what happens, it's about what you make the masses believe. And because Anthony Edwards is one of the more premier players of this generation, you got a lot of these kids walking around going to be repeating exactly the words that he said, and you never going to get them to understand history. That's why these guys got to do a better job of knowing their history. But I don't get mad at Anthony Edwards like he needs to be canceled or nothing like that, because he's 21. But at the same time, he got to understand, like, there's books, there's game film, you got older homies. Kevin Durant, who appreciates the game, will tell you who these guys are. I'd like to hear what he had to say when you said them comments. Zeke, Isaiah Thomas was Kyrie Irving before Kyrie Irving. Ball handling skills were impeccable. Dominique Wilkins, strong scorer, strong dunker, could shoot the 3 ball. I think he was pretty decently skilled without having access to a full-time trainer like most of these guys in the NBA. Pretty much all these guys have. James Worthy, very good all-star player. All right, moved well on the basketball court. Was not a person that was just going off with just. It wasn't bad to watch him. He moved on the court very, very well. Kevin McHale is the greatest low post scorer of all time. Let me say it again. Kevin McHale of the Boston Celtics was the greatest low post scorer of all time. And he would put your guy, Karl-Anthony Towns, Ant-Man in the blender. He wouldn't even know how to guard Kevin McHale's moves. Shout out to Robert Parrish as well. But again, this is just the 1980s. All 10 of these guys right here had skill. Majority of them had skill. Two of them are in the top 5. Or 3 of them are in my top 5. Jordan, Magic, Larry. No, Jordan, Magic, Kareem. I'm sorry. Larry's in my top 10. All skilled, all great at their positions. But that's the 1980s. Right? I hope that y'all seen what's going on right here. This man said no one had skill other than Jordan. I want to say because I'm trying to give Ant-Man, I'm trying to understand what he's saying. I'm not trying to just throw it to, but I think what he's trying to say is because of the supreme talent. This would have been better for him to say the supreme talent that Jordan had, people ain't seen before. That would have been more suiting of a quote. You didn't see nobody flying through the air like Jordan at that time. And that would have been better for him to say, because that would have been a more acceptable quote. Because I know you comparing your generation to theirs, but that was the wrong thing to say, my brother. Now you got old heads and, even people who are fanatics in basketball going at you. And I don't like that, because I like Anthony Edwards. But let me go a little bit deeper. So that's 1980s. Let's go into the 90s. Let's go into Jordan's era. So I decided to do the top 10 shooting guards, obviously, because that's Anthony Edwards' position. Top 10 shooting guards of the 1990s: Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, Reggie Miller, Mitch Richmond, Joe Dumars, Latrell Sprewell, Steve Smith, John Starks, Jeff Hornacek, and Dan Marley. Now, let me just say this. The 90s, the shooting guards were not as strong. You did have some very, very great talent, but it was not as strong as the other positions. But Clyde Drexler, skilled, athletic, second best shooting guard behind Jordan in the 90s. I would like to see him against these shooting guards now, against the Devin Bookers, against the Donovan Mitchells, the Anthony Edwards, those. I would like to see Clyde Drexler against those players with the same playing field with the training and stuff like that. Reggie Miller obviously led the league in three-point shooting for a number of years until Steph Curry broke it. Right? Skill, shooting. Most of these other players right here are very, very underrated. Mitch Richmond, Joe Dumars, Latrell Sprewell, Steve Smith, John Starks, Jeff Hornacek, Dan Marley. Some of them were role players, but they all were very, very talented players. They just didn't get the recognition, mostly because you had Jordan in their way. That's how. See, Jordan again, he just messes up a lot of stuff for everybody. If you're a player that was just in his era, it's kind of tough to get recognition because Jordan was just a shining light that a lot of people didn't get to shine. That if they were in a different era, they probably would have gotten, because you're in the same position as the greatest player of all time. So I'm gonna go to one more category and skip the shooting guards, because I know they were very, very solid, but again, you just get only so much praise when you're playing with Mike. So I'm gonna talk about the centers. Now, Ant-Man again said there was nobody skilled other than Jordan before the 2000s, which I already debunked that. In the 1980s, you had Magic, you had Isaiah Thomas, you had Larry Bird, you had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you had Kevin McHale, you had great skilled players in the 80s. But the 90s, this was the time of the bigs. The guy you seeing right there at number one is the most skilled big man of all time. Hey, Ant-Man, tell Rudy Gobert to guard Hakeem Olajuwon in his prime, please. That 4-time All-Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Let's see how he would fare up against Hakeem Olajuwon. Ooh, I would love to see that. I'd love to see that matchup. Hakeem Olajuwon is the Kobe Bryant of his position, the greatest skilled center of all time. In my personal opinion, Hakeem is I put guys like Kareem, and I put Kareem in front of him in the top 10, but I would have the argument that Hakeem was an overall better player than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I would have that argument. But he doesn't have the resume as far as the championships to compete. He only has 2 titles, and 2 of those titles came when Jordan was, retired. But as far as an individual player, Hakeem Olajuwon at the center position was as great as anybody. David Robinson, who obviously was more so on the athletic side, didn't really rely on his skill, but like James Worthy, he moved on the court very, very well. See, that's why I want to make it very clear. I don't want people to think that these guys are just uncoordinated and slow and can only go one way and could not run the court, because statements like what Anthony Edwards just said will make people who are in the millennials believe that. Like, these dudes just didn't have no coordination, could not move on the court, slow, like that's type of quotes like that are dangerous. David Robinson was a workout warrior. You could just tell in his body structure, muscles popping out of his shoulders, his neck, his like, look at the veins that you see popping out of his biceps. But he was a very, very skilled player. Shaquille O'Neal, obviously, y'all know who Shaq was in the 80s, in the 90s. I'm sorry, in the 90s. That was probably, he was more skilled in Orlando than he was with the Lakers, because he was a much smaller version. He had to rely more on his size, more on his speed, his quickness, his footwork. He had to rely more on that when he was with the Magic. Lakers, he was just a brute dominant force that just threw everybody, to the side. But then you get a little bit deeper. Patrick Ewing. Some people say Joel Embiid this, Joel Embiid that, Joel Embiid this, Joel Embiid that. They compare him to Hakeem Olajuwon, which let's and it's another one. Put Joel Embiid against Hakeem Olajuwon, see what happens. Patrick Ewing was a very, very special talent in the 90s. Never won the championship, but I had to go up against Jordan for the most part. He can shoot the midi. He can score in the paint. Very, very good touch around the rim. Skilled. Right? Now, other guys I got right here, all Hall of Fame players. Alonzo Mourning, Hall of Fame player. Dikembe Mutombo, Hall of Fame player. Brad Daugherty. Brad Daugherty was like a Blake Griffin in Cleveland. The young Blake Griffin, when he was 10th in MVP voting. See, these players people don't really hear about because they didn't have the success of winning. But if you do your homework on Brad Daugherty was a talented big, just like Blake Griffin. But back to the point of skill. 1, 2, 3, 4. First four guys, all skilled players. All moved on the court very well. All were in shape. All of them outside of Shaquille O'Neal can shoot in the mid-range. So, let me just say this. Sorry. The 1980s and 1990s, that's when the era of basketball started to return. Right before the 80s started, when Magic and Bird came in the league, that's what saved the NBA, because it was starting to go down in the 70s. Like, they were having trouble getting viewership. And that Magic and Bird rivalry saved the NBA. Right? 90s, you got the greatest player of all time. And MJ, who you gave pretty much all the credit to. Again, if you didn't watch it, that makes sense why you missing all this that I just talked about. And if you really just understood that skill is something that can be taught, you would think to yourself, light bulb, that the reason why these guys, quote unquote, probably weren't doing the jelly off the finger at the basket, or driven the ball 1,000 times underneath their legs and all this, that, and the other, which really doesn't really prove you're a great basketball player if you need all that to, say score a basket. It just came to a situation where one generation had technology and access, the other one did not. That's just the fact of the matter. So I think Anthony Edwards is a prime example of, again, the millennials that need to be taught what really happened, what really went down. Because, again, once you have this type of conversation and you have people talking like this, that's going to spread. That's going to spread throughout the rest of the league like a virus. Shout out again, Isaiah Thomas said it. Propaganda works, so be careful what you choose to believe. Basically, what he's telling us and telling Anthony Edwards is, it's not his fault. I think he's talking not just to the mass, he's talking to Anthony Edwards. You think we weren't skilled. You think that, you were playing against a bunch of guys who could not go left. Because that's what you've been hearing. That's what's been taught. A la JJ Redick calling guys like Bob Cousy, who couldn't, he didn't have a left hand, who turned the ball over, and they were playing up against firemen and plumbers. This is the stuff that's being promoted on the television screen. And shout out to Jerry West, RIP to the logo, for pointing out, JJ, when you say firemen and plumbers are simply because, yes, a lot of us had to work more than one job because we didn't have, that's what we needed to do to take care of the family. We don't have the access to millions of dollars like y'all do now because of what was built off of our backs. What was built off of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and Michael Jordan. Hell, even Kobe Bryant in the 2000s. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Right? Who y'all think y'all got what y'all got? Did y'all think the basketball just started in the 2020s? Anthony Edwards, the same decade that you criticize, is the same decade the player that they compare you to came from is the 90s. Joel Embiid is compared to Hakeem Olajuwon, which in my personal opinion is not even a comparison. Mike Conley, your point guard. One of the greatest point guards of all time, played in the 90s, which would have gave your point guard hell in John Stockton. The same guy that you up, Mike Conley, if I lined him up with John Stockton, he would destroy him. Not to say head to head, as far as, but he would affect the game in ways that would have you frustrated. Isaiah Thomas, Kyrie Irving. Dikembe Mutombo, Rudy Gobert, but the only difference is Mutombo actually really protected the rim, where they had a logo for him, or an expression for him where he waved his finger. Like if you put the ball in front of Dikembe Mutombo's face, he was most likely gonna block your shot 9 times out of 10 times. Like it was a flex to dunk on Mutombo, which didn't really happen much. Again, I said it before, I'll say it again. I feel like basketball is the only sport that disrespects the people and the players before them. You don't get that in football. Wide receivers, they respect Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss. The quarterbacks, they respect Dan Marino. They respect Joe Montana, Tom Brady's, Dan Marino's, Troy Aikman's. They respect the players before them. And again, I don't know if this was a setup question or what. I'm trying to give Anthony Edwards the benefit of the doubt because I don't think he tried to be disrespectful. I don't think that's in him. But it does show his ignorance when it comes to history. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't care to, learn history. But it will go a long way to avoid sticky situations like the one you're about to be in when people are calling you pretty much calling you out for this nonsense. But Ant-Man don't need to be ridiculed. He don't need to be demonized. He just needs to be educated like a lot of these other people from the ages of 19 to 21, 22 who really started watching basketball when LeBron James won his championship in Cleveland. But until next time, hope that y'all enjoyed this show. Make sure y'all leave here. Do not be rude. Hit the like button. We'll be back on for another show. Until next time, put up a seat, put up a chair, put it live. Peace. Out of here like swimwear.
We like that.